All right, good afternoon, Kolkata. Come on, I know you guys are dead on your seats. Can everyone please rise? Can you please rise? Your chairs are experiencing VUCA, and therefore we want to give them some break. So everyone, sir, due respect, please rise. Fantastic. Sab khade ho jaiye. Everyone, let's do this. Come on, everyone, let's do this. Back to school, let's do this. I see the eldest people in the room doing it far more vigorously than the younger people in the room. I see a lot of VUCA happening right here. Okay, fantastic. Please sit down. Thank you so much. All righty. One commitment from my side is I'm going to make this as interactive as possible, and I'm going to ensure that each one of you has a chance to come and speak, talk, interact, right? Do I have a deal with you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Can I hear a yes? Yes. Can I hear a yes? Yes. A yes from this side? Okay, we were warming up, right? We're all warming up. Let me start with a short story. This was a story when I was in school. And I also used to follow the Olympics, the 400-meter race. And I used to wonder that the person in the innermost lane was always right behind. Each one of you have seen the Olympic race? Yeah? So the one in the innermost lane was right behind, and the one in the outermost lane was right ahead. And that's exactly what I'm feeling right now. 5 speakers down, they're all in the outermost lane. I'm in the innermost lane. And as a kid, I asked my mom, you know, Mom, I don't think this is fair because that guy has a lead and he's far ahead of me, which means he'll of course finish the race before me. And my mom didn't give me an answer. She just kept quiet. I grew up with this feeling that anybody who is optically ahead of me is leading the race. As I grew up, 2nd standard, 4th standard, 6th standard, 8th standard in school, I realized I was not as intelligent as most of you in the room. So in the 8th standard, I realized that there's something known as radius and diameter. And it doesn't matter if all stand in a line or not. The guy standing right on the extreme right has a lead because he's covering more distance. And I, being right closer to the radius, will cover lesser distance. So hopefully with that fact, although I'm the last speaker for the day before we get into the panel, I am told that people in Kolkata are very nice people. And this is my first time in Kolkata doing a session like this. So I'm going to lean on your support as I walk you through the subject. How many of you all have had a chance to read the topic that I'm going to talk about? You heard it, which is fine. But the agenda in front of you, has anyone read it? If you have not, take the next 10 seconds just to read the topic of what I'm going to be talking about. And that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, madam. What according to you? I told you we're going to make it interactive. Sorry to put you on a spot. But what is the topic that we're going to be talking about today? Can we have a mic passed to her very quickly? Fantastic.
Well, it says there's nothing personal about it.
That's exactly what you're reading from the piece of paper. But what is your interpretation of that? No right, wrong, just go for it.
Something regarding don't take things personally.
All right, fantastic. Can you pass the mic to the lady right behind you? She's just walked in from nowhere and she's completely lost. But given that she's told us such wonderful stories about the Taj Mahal, I'm sure she's going to weave a wonderful story right now. So just for your benefit, we're just asking people, what do they think is the subject that I'm going to be speaking about?
I'll take a shot at it. Yesterday, the event that I was at yesterday, I was
People
talking
at the back won't be able to hear you, so if you can just raise your volume a bit.
Okay.
Fantastic.
The event that I was at yesterday, we had the head of Hero Motorcorp there, and he was talking about change. This is what I think it is. But
Sure.
A lot of HR leaders tend to stick on to processes and technology that they thought is the best, and then they cling on to it because I brought the system into place, and hence there should be, oh, this is my favorite, somebody else talked about. So maybe
Sure.
it is about how objective can an organization get. That's probably what it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you quickly take the mic right to that end? And we have the lady in green talking to her friend in the black jacket on the second table. Let's quickly span to the two of them and let's hear them. Yes. I'm not biased to anyone, right there, the two of them. Yes. And he knows exactly why the mic has come to him, and he's giving me that cheeky look. Yes, ma'am. Sit, be comfortable. Yeah, it's all home.
So I think it might be regarding, like, as all of us are HR professionals in this room, and we deal with people on day-to-day basis.
Right.
And a lot of biases might come in, in our working, or maybe other people think that we might be biases to somebody else.
Sure.
So I think the topic is that HR has to be a neutral, has to give neutral perspective.
Okay.
And there is nothing personal about it in all the decisions which we make in the organization.
Fantastic. And what has that got to do with VUCA? Can you pass the mic right to him? Sir, what's your take? What has it got to do? She made a wonderful point of biases. What has it got to do with VUCA?
So I think certainly it's connected with VUCA only. When we look at our overall scenario or overall work environment, which is being impacted by VUCA in totality, and the decisions we are making. So certainly the decisions we make is contextualized by VUCA and our operations or activities.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I think so now we're just kind of warming up. I'm going to ask some stupid questions. Please give me some intelligent answers, right? How many of us are intelligent in the room? Please put your hands up. Come on, don't feel shy. Don't feel shy. Come on. I won't ask you a question. Don't worry. I like the courage right at the back. The only man putting his hand up. The ladies come up next. 2 hands going up. Come on. Guys, come on. Yeah. Are you intelligent or not? 3 hands, 4, 5. This entire table, the gang of girls is all ready to put their hands up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you serious? Okay. Let me ask a contrary question. How many of us are emotional? Yeah. Now is where the Indian culture comes into play. Okay, emotional. And the rest of you all are neither intelligent nor emotional. And I wonder what you're doing in the room. More so, I'm wondering what you're doing in HR. Okay. Now let's go back to the question of intelligence, right? Is your intensity of being intelligent higher than your intensity of being emotional? If you're feeling lost right now, don't worry. I'm just putting dots, right? I'll connect the entire dots for you in the next 17 minutes that I have. And hopefully, I would like to talk less and stop in the next 7 minutes. And the next 10 minutes, we have a conversation in terms of a Q&A. All right? So coming back, intelligence, emotions. Yeah? My next question is, the intensity of intelligence, is it higher or is it lower as compared to your intensity for emotions? You don't need to give me an answer. Sit back and reflect. This is story number 1 that I want to leave you with, right? Because at the end of the day, while there's a lot of VUCA happening in the external world, and VUCA is not a new word, it's happening since World War II, it's just that we as Indians love fads, and we latch on to something, and we keep talking about it till the cows come home, because apparently HR guys have no other work but to attend conferences, right? And I haven't seen so many HR conferences in the country as compared to marketing or finance. But what the difference is, it's not about the VUCA outside right now. It's actually about the VUCA in my head, because this stage is like home for me. I love doing this. Every weekend, I'm either at some IIM or IIT or a conference like this, doing sessions like this. So this stage is home for me. But there is still VUCA in my head, and I'll tell you why. for a simple reason that Kolkata is a new market for me. I've never done a session like this in Kolkata before. 10:24, I received a call in my hotel room to say, where are you? And I said, but we're starting at 10:30, so I'll come down by 10:30. And they said, no, but the house is full. I said, you got to be kidding me. Someone's just pulling my leg. They want me to get more taller. And when I walked in here, 10:30 by the dot, we started. The MC was on stage. Shock number one. I come from a place called Bombay, where if you say 10:30, no one starts before 11. No one comes in the room before 11. No one does an HR conference in the morning. HR conferences in Bombay happen in 5 stars, post 7 p.m., followed by alcohol. I'm serious. I'm kidding you not. 95% of the people in the audience don't care a jack's ass of who the speaker is and what the guy is talking. With all due respect to my previous panelists, I so don't believe in PowerPoint because I believe that people who don't have power in their points use PowerPoint. So people who don't have power in their points use PowerPoint. Everything has a life and then it dies. From the way I look at it, the shelf life of PowerPoint is dead. We're living in a world of storytelling, which makes it even more difficult because not am I beautiful, nor am I handsome. You don't want to see my face on the screen, but you're tied down with me for the next 17 minutes. And we all know there are kinesthetic learners, audio learners, and visual learners. Without a PowerPoint, for me to grip your attention, believe you me, neuroscience says, no human being can focus on any object for more than 7 minutes. Beyond that, I will do either this, or I'll take my favorite gadget out and do that, or I'll just talk to my nearby neighbor and say, "Bahut paka raha hai." Right? That's essentially what happens. So for me to hold the next 13 minutes with you with your entire focus, especially when I'm between you and lunch, is not an easy proposition. Having said that, the VUCA outside is something we can still manage. You know what the larger problem is? Come on, give it away to me. Give it away to me. What's the larger problem? Brilliant. That's what you call experience. He didn't have to blink an eyelid and he just said it's the VUCA inside. Ladies and gentlemen, I asked you about intelligence, I asked you about emotions. But let me tell you one thing. Each one of us sitting in this room are plagued by the VUCA inside. And not enough time do we give to our own selves to sort out that VUCA inside. So what do? We look beautiful. We get up every morning. We put our mascara on. For some of us, we put our mask on. And we head to this wonderful place called work. Some of us do it because we have EMIs to pay. Again, contextualizing Bombay, where real estate is more expensive than the price of human life. And I have EMIs to pay. Some of us do it because I don't want to listen to the kit of my mother-in-law. Yeah. Some of us do it for the sheer passion that I love doing what I do, which eventually gets killed the moment I enter the workplace. Why? Because I'm not allowed to be who I am. And when I'm not allowed to be who I am, I'm essentially being someone who I'm not. And when I'm being someone who I'm not, as our first speaker would essentially say, that's the starting point of VUCA in my head. And when there's going to be VUCA in my head, am I going to be my 100%? Am I going to be the best version of myself? Ladies and gentlemen, no points for guessing, but if I'm not going to be the best version of myself, I'm not just doing justice to people around me, forget justice to my own self. The larger challenge, and let me ask you this question right up front. Would you want your mind to be smart or dumb? Make a choice. Make a choice. Smart, right? Would you want your emotions to be sweet or bitter? No points for guessing. Why? Because that's the way it's supposed to work. But kid you me not, what ends up happening is when I'm driving to work and someone overtakes me, the first emotion that comes in is irritation. For some, it may be anger. Now, how do you really channelize that when you get to the workplace to make a difference? And then, of course, in this whole VUCA world, which everyone's latching on to, our clients, our customers, our stakeholders want a lot more of us at lesser price, maintaining the same quality. All I'm trying to do is squeeze you as much as I can. And when I'm squeezing you that much, taking the analogy of a rubber band, there is only so much that you can stretch a rubber band. And eventually what's going to happen is the rubber band is going to break. A lot of us in this room, and I can just look at faces and tell you, because I've been trained to do that, are actually broken. What do? We pick up pieces of ourselves, put them together, wear that lovely smile, and go and do shit at work. We come to conferences like these hoping that we will get away from a Saturday routine. We'll go and learn one new thing that will make our entire travel time, our entire Saturday well spent. But more often than not, we sit down there, we get pakawed, we get bored, and we go back. What do we do about it? Absolutely nothing. We have a bad boss, but we don't have another job on hand. We live with that bad boss. We just start making peace, which is not real peace. And the continuum that I really look at for the secret for happiness to manage or combat VUCA is to look at peace, joy, love, compassion, bliss, leading to ecstasy that gives you success. If I have to do a random check right now in this room and ask you guys, what does success mean to you? Sir, with due respect to your age, what does success mean to you now, at this age? Fantastic. So for the benefit of everyone, I'm just going to repeat what he said. He said, success to me at this age means that I haven't wasted my life. What would success have meant to you 30 years back? The mic has come to you, yeah. It's on. Recognition, they heard you.
Recognition, fame, some money.
Sure.
Being the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being the best, money, recognition, fame. Each one of us at different life stages and ages in our life, the definition of success changes. But the VUCA, or the inability to make peace with the inner self, doesn't change. And unfortunately, none of us spend enough time. We do our yoga, we do our meditation, we do art of living, we do all of that, which is fantastic. But I'm yet to find and meet one person who is able to put all the broken pieces together as if nothing ever broke in the first place. It ain't easy. It ain't easy at all. And to mask it, we go to the workplace every single day saying, HR needs a seat at the table. My God, I've been hearing it from the time I was born. Like my mom was getting me out and she was telling me HR needs a seat at the table. I've been hearing it since then. HR needs to be a strategic business partner, a trusted advisor. Like, holy cow. We really need to get our act together to combat this VUCA. It needs two things to my mind. One, sheer competence. You have to be the ace. And two, the clear intent. I did a session a couple of weeks ago where I spoke to CHROs, leading CHROs of India. And I told them one thing. I said, the last time you were called into a boardroom, and in that boardroom, you had to stick your spine out at the cost of losing your job, did you fall in line with the CEO, or did you stick your neck out? Thank you. India's leading CHROs who are in the pay package of anywhere of 7 crores and above, in their heart of hearts know, beyond the third year where transformation becomes BAU, 7 crores is overrated. It may not apply to people in this room, but my limited point is, are we delivering value that is combating VUCA? If you're talking about AI, machine learning, is anyone in this room intellectually up there to manage humanoids? How will they even look like? How will they behave? How do we combat emotion with robotics? How do we combat emotion with analytics? How do we get that blend together? I think very few of us in small circuits are discussing about it. What we really need to discuss is not what Henry Ford said, not what Elon Musk is doing, but essentially to combat what are we going to do differently that is going to make a significant impact on the future of work. I'm just dovetailing this into the next panel discussion, which is going to be on the future of work, and we're going to have esteemed panelists come up and talk to you about the future of work. But my biggest challenge is anybody who talks on the future of work, how much of the future do they really know? And if they don't know the future, are we just crystal ball gazing? And if we are crystal ball gazing, how much of predictive analytics is coming in to quantify that, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to make an impact? I'm not saying I have all the answers, but what I am saying is, collectively, if each one of us come together in various forums like HRFI and Infocom have put together for all of us, and spend time in smaller cohorts, trying to brainstorm, saying, guys, let's make that difference, rather than just listening to Gyan and walking away with a wonderful lunch, I think we will do great service to our fraternity and to the nation. I'm going to pause here, but very happy to take as many questions as you have. I have 3 minutes. It'll be a fantastic opportunity to take questions. But otherwise, thank you so much. But I would like to take a couple of questions. So anyone, I know the first hand to go up is very difficult. People don't generally put their hand up. But once the first, second question comes in, it starts flowing in. So who's going to be the first person? I'll just get you a mic. Excuse me? Here, right here, right here. We'll go back. We have 2 mics. Yeah, fantastic. You can be on that side of the room, and we can have 1 mic here.
Yeah, so, since you are traveling across in India and globe as well, do you think, in Indian perspective, the CHROs are really culturally aligned? We're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about machine learning. Is it really happening, the reflective side of the HR, which is basically has to implement in their workplace, or it is remaining in the podium?
I won't make the perennial mistake of giving you a generalized answer. But what I truly believe is that every organization gets the HR head that it deserves. Take a minute to soak it in. Every organization gets the HR head it deserves. Today, if my CEO is not taking me for every meeting, whether it is related to people or not, there is a problem. Problem is not his. Problem is the fact that either he or his right-hand people believe that Sahil can't add value. And when I say Sahil, it could be any one of us. The moment, let me assure each one of you in this room, the moment your CXO, CEO believes that you can add value, he or she is not a dumbass not to include you. The question is, let's put the mirror on the wall and ask ourselves, Do we have answers for every single question within our domain? Or do we crowdsource? I'm not saying anything wrong with crowdsourcing, but do we go back and say, kya bolte ho, kya bolte ho, kya bolte ho? Or are we an authority on the subject to say, sorry, goodwill does not get depreciated, it gets amortized, the way a finance guy would say it. If you're going to say no, but I have two perspectives, you could do this also, you could do that also, this has this pro and con, that has that pro and con, the CEO is going to say, dude, what do you want me to do? And if I go back to the erstwhile legacy of personnel management, the CEO always had the head of the labor with him. His ER guy was his right hand because he never knew how to avoid a strike or a lockout. Who was the competent guy? The IR guy. He knew it in and out. He knew the nuts, the bolts, the pulse of the workmen. He knew it in and out. And therefore the CEO said, Mr. IR, come sit on the table, tell me what will it take to get these guys at 100% efficiency. Draw parallels. Today's CHRO, do they really have the answers? I pause there. I'm not sure whether I answered your question or not, but that was my humble attempt.
Sahil sir, I think
Can you please call me Sahil?
Sahil.
Sir makes me feel really old,
Yeah, fine.
and I'm half your age, so.
Fair enough, fair enough. See, actually,
Yes, sir.
I think the way in which you...
Take the mic slightly closer to you so everyone can hear you. Yeah.
The way in which you have put, this IQ and EQ,
Yeah.
I felt really very good. One weird question, I do not know whether, see, logic and reasons usually don't move people.
Sure.
Okay. Emotions does move people. If that is so, what would you recommend for people to practice?
Round of applause. I think he's actually nailed the problem on its head. Let me take you back to when I was in college. I actually needed money to fund my education. I worked at this small company which was into grooming people. And I went to the CEO one day and I said, I think each one of us as business development executives should have a tagline at the back of our business card. His response to me was, Sahil, I don't think my people are capable enough to come up with a tagline. I sat back and I said, okay, can I share my tagline with you? He said, of course. And that's going to answer your question, Mr. Iyer, very quickly. I said, the beauty of life exists in the space where logic ends, but reality still exists. Break it down. Beauty of life exists in the space where logic ends, but reality still exists. We all buy emotionally and justify rationally. We all take emotions into consideration when we take any decision, and then to show the world on an Excel sheet, we justify rationally. I think most of us, including my own self, in our evolution as human beings, don't quite know ourselves well enough. And when I go to the IIMs and I do this kind of a small interaction, my first question as an icebreaker to them is to say, you guys are guys with 10, 12 years experience. You've come for an executive MBA batch at IIM. Of course, you've realized you've stagnated in your careers. You want a good degree to take the giant leap. Don't give me your name. Don't give me your designation. Don't give me your company. Tell me who you are. 90% of the people struggle to tell me who they are. Sit back, ask your own self. Take your name away, take your designation away, take your company name away, take your childhood away. Tell me who you are. You'll struggle. And that essentially is sitting back and looking internal to say, what makes Sahil tick? If you've done the MBTI, you would know extroversion is not about being friendly. Extroversion is where do I derive my energy from, which is external. So I would rather be amongst all of you than sit in my room and read a book, because then I would be introverted. Right? And if I know who I am, making peace with who I am is a lot more easier, because what I'm actually doing is picking up the concept of being pleasant. You all heard this word called being pleasant? We are never pleasant because we don't know who we are, and therefore either we over-exaggerate or we underplay. We don't find the balance. And when we all chase work-life balance, I don't believe that exists in today's world, because I'm on my phone all the day, and I was taking an audio call while the session was happening, because what you need to chase is work-life harmony and not work-life balance. I get back home, I'm on Netflix, I'm on a video call with my girlfriend, and I go to sleep. And my mom's thinking, Beta ghar pe aaya hai. 5 years back, he would tell me how his day was. He would have dinner with the family on the dinner table. And now, suddenly, he's become very introverted. Do you see the drift? And if each one of you reflect in your own lives, irrespective of your age, you will see how the external VUCA is changing the internal VUCA without you realizing. I hope I've answered your question. We can take it up offline. I know we're running out of time, but thank you so much, everyone. It was fantastic being here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I please request you to kindly stay back on the stage for a while? And may I please now request Dr. Rao Saab Kangane to kindly step forward and present, as a token of gratitude, a memento to him.
Thank you so much.
Here you have to continue moderation, because this one is getting late,
Okay.
So since usually subject,
Okay.
so Sahil would be continuing as a moderator, so it would be there for another 1 hour.
And that's exactly VUCA happening to me right now, because the moderator of the panel discussion isn't around, and I need to moderate the sessions. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but at the request of Mr. Kangane, I'll try and play my role. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.